Do you think that that's playing into perhaps the division that we see right now with the Tea Party movement, which you could say it was co-opted somewhere along the way, but originally it came out of this frustration that a lot of Americans had towards the bailouts, right? Then later on, President Obama's health care plan. And is that message working to divide the groups? Should the Tea Party have the same thing in common as Occupy Wall Street and the October 2011?
The Tea Party, I think when you look closely at its origins, was from the beginning a creation of the corporatists like the Koch brothers and others. And it functions as America's fascist party. It celebrates the gun culture, the language of violence, the undercurrents of racism, the scapegoating of people who are vulnerable and weak within the society, Muslims, undocumented workers, homosexuals, intellectuals. It has all the hallmarks of a classically fascist organization, including the fact that it's bankrolled by the most retrograde elements within American society. And the people who bankroll it have turned anger, and of course you're right that they are tapping into a legitimate rage, but they have deflected that rage away from where it should be directed, which is Wall Street, towards government, because corporations want government to become weaker, more anemic, to destroy what tepid controls and regulations are left, and there isn't, of course, much left.
So you don't blame government? Do you think that perhaps individual politicians, people like President Barack Obama, are they just slaves to the system, essentially, because they depend on campaign donations, they depend on the money, and there's no way to get out of it?
I wouldn't call them slaves to the system. I mean, Barack Obama is certainly intelligent enough to understand where power lies and what he has to do in order to stay in office, whose interests he has to serve. And he has served those interests as assiduously as did George W. Bush. The fact is there is no way within the American political system to vote against the interests of Goldman Sachs. It doesn't matter whether it's Bush or Obama or McCain or anyone else. We live in a society that in which the citizenry has been utterly disempowered, rendered impotent. And it doesn't matter what citizens want. Even when we vote, for instance, in 2006 against the war in Iraq, and turn the control of the Congress back over to the Democrats, what does the Democratic Party do? It continues to not only fund the war, but increase troop levels in Iraq by 30,000. Obamacare ends up being 2,000 pages written by corporate lobbyists, the equivalent of the bank bailout bill to the pharmaceutical and insurance industry, $400 billion in subsidies. Obama has expanded the reach of imperial wars, including proxy wars in Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan. He has not restored habeas corpus. On all of the major structural issues, there is no difference. There's a complete continuity. And, of course, the working class and the poor and increasingly the middle class have to pay the price. And it doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican, and that's the fuel of these movements.